So I got the Ranger Rebel out, dusted it off, took it out to the reservoir. After fishing for at least an hour and not catching much of anything, I was beginning to wonder if I was going to have any luck this day. But I pulled into this cove here, started fishing around this dock with a spinnerbait, and got this nice bass to bite. The 2.5 pound range. Nice fish on the spinnerbait. Little extra jump for us here. As he swims away, there's a spinnerbait I'm using. It's a Terminator titanium spinnerbait. Got a blue head with some silver skirt on there and some nickel blades. Good shad imitator. Throwing it up around some shell cover around this dock here. Threw a few casts in there and wasn't getting bit, so I decided to change over to this Texas rig Speedcraw here. Pitch it up in the shallow vegetation and up underneath the dock. See if I can find any more bass around here. Just pitching around these trees and stuff along the bank. I pitched it out underneath the dock here next to these pontoons on the dock, and bam. Got hooked up here with another largemouth. So now I'm thinking I got it all figured out. I just gotta fish these docks. And I'll catch a bunch of bass. Unfortunately, it did not turn out that way. So I fished just about every dock in this cove and did not get another fish. Did have a fish swing and miss at my spinnerbait here on the other side of this dock here. And a couple little bites on it. But I moved down to this rock jetty here. The wind's blowing into it. So I started fishing down it with the spinnerbait and caught this little bass. Comes off there as I'm pulling it in the boat. Keep on working down this bank here. The wind was really blowing on this day. It was gusting 20-30 mile an hour. So I was trying to stay in areas where I was kind of protected. And I hooked up with this big fish. I was hoping it was going to be a bass, but I saw pretty soon it was not a bass. Trying to get this fish out away from all the rocks and snags. Get it out in the open water. And we got a decent channel catfish on here. Got channel cat on the spinnerbait. Was pulling pretty good. Got out here in the waves a little bit, and the boat was kind of rocking on me, but Eventually we get this fish up to the side of the boat here and get a hold of it. And this thing did a number on my spinnerbait. Twisted that line all around it. He was hooked in the mouth, but he had that line lassoed around there so good, even if the hook would have popped out, he would have still been caught. Slimy booger. It's just got that line wrapped all around there. Gotta unravel the mess here so I can get this fish off and let it go. So I got back on the jetty. Was fishing parallel down the rocks here and hooked up with another bass. On the spinnerbait. Not a real big one, but fun to catch. Then we moved back closer to the boat ramp. Fishing a rock jetty over there, close to the boat ramp. The wind is blowing pretty good over here. There's pretty good wave action going on. Hooked up with a pretty good fish on the spinnerbait again. Just fishing down the jetty here. And just straight reeling that spinnerbait, giving it a jerk once in a while and get those little bit of an erratic action going. Get those blades to hit each other, make a little more noise. Try and trigger these fish to bite. You can catch fish just straight reeling it, but it's always better to add some action to the lure. It's going to help you get more bites. A lot of times that's what seals the deal, is if you add just a little extra movement, or some cases if you stop the bait and start it again. So we got another fish on here. Down here where it gets pretty shallow, there's a bunch of tires in the water. And these fish seem to be pretty well concentrated. The wind's blowing straight into the bank there. Get this fish in here. Another one bites the spinnerbait. They were liking that spinnerbait in those windy conditions that we had this day. Spinnerbait was working pretty good. Not a real big fish, but another decent bass on the spinnerbait. Catching quite a few in this spot. I went and tried fishing a few different areas and ended up coming back here each time because wasn't having much luck anywhere else. Up in this cove, did catch one small one in another spot, but somehow this one flopped my blade right off my spinnerbait here. My big willow leaf blade went flying off. And must have went in the lake because I couldn't find it in the boat anywhere. So I got this fish on the Squarebill. This is not a largemouth, this is a white bass on the Squarebill. Shad colored Squarebill here. So we get that pretty nice white bass back in the lake, and I believe it's the second cast after we let it go. We hook up with another largemouth here. So the Squarebill is working also here. Just cranking around these tires and rocks. Another bass on the Squarebill. These fish in this reservoir, especially around these rocks, are eating basically two things. They're eating either shad or crawdads. So if you imitate either one of those two things, you should have some luck. If you're throwing a bait that looks like what the fish are actually normally eating, chances are better that they're gonna bite. So we ended up having a pretty decent day here. Ended up catching 18 fish on this day, so pretty decent. Well, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.